This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Dr. Stacie Weber of Dr. Stacie Weber's Cosmetic and Facial Rejuvenation Clinic. Dr. Stacie Weber, welcome to the show.
Well, hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me and for pronouncing that mouthful so well. I appreciate that because I feel if you said it 3 times fast, you might slip up a little bit. So
yeah, I had to slow it down.
Yeah,
I had to slow it down to really pronounce it right. And am I calling you Dr. Stacie Weber, Dr. Weber, Doc? Like, how do you like it?
Whatever you're comfortable with. Some people call me Stacie. Some people call me Dr. Stacie. I always used to joke that only my mother has to call me Dr. Weber. Right?
Does anybody call you Doc?
Pardon?
Anybody call you Doc?
Yes, some people do call me Doc. And I've had many nicknames throughout my lifetime. So Doc works just fine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I may switch it up from here or there, but let's get right into it. Stacie, we've had so many guests on the show. They're all local entrepreneurs to Simcoe County, from roofers to painters to plastic surgeons to all kinds of unique things. I think you may be the first cosmetic and facial rejuvenation expert. So I'm really interested into what that is. So let's start off at the top. What is it you exactly do for people?
You know what? This is actually a funny question to answer because I was thinking about that and I came up with all the services and products that my clinic offers. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of clinics such as mine that offer an array of products and services, from wrinkle relaxers, from fillers, laser treatments, skin treatments, skin care. But what I really do is use those tools to make people feel good about themselves. I truly believe, and that is always my goal, that someone leaves with more confidence when we're done, or when even done for one visit, than they started with. I think people come to me with problems, things that perhaps make them feel bad about themselves or make them feel that the outer image that they portray to the world is not how they feel inside. People will say, why does everyone think I look so angry? Or everyone asking me, I'm tired. So I provide, with the tools that I have, solutions to make people look less angry, less tired. And then really, I have the best job in the world because I make people happy for a living. And so I love what I do. And I am truly passionate about helping people. And it's certainly not, I guess, a one-off. So if you come to my clinic and want this problem solved in one visit, we might be able to improve upon it, but it is about a journey. It's about getting to know you as an individual, getting to know what's important to you, what your budget is, that plays in as well, what your lifestyle is, and then working with you to solve a problem. So once again, I use that arsenal of tools that are offered at a full service cosmetic clinic with focus on the face. So I'm not doing body work like some other clinics. Mm-hmm. And then we devise a plan. So everyone comes in for a consultation, and we figure out what best plan will work for you.
I love it. It's so interesting that you said it really ends up providing an internal solution. I have had many mentors in my life. Some of them just came into it by circumstance, serendipity. Others I've hired, some really effective ones, and they've helped me significantly. And I'll never forget one of the seeds that one of them planted. She said, at the end of the day, all of your products are likely going to be for external solutions. All your products will be external solutions to external problems. But the best products and services out there are really answering an internal problem. If your external product or service can be a solution to an internal problem, you can change the world, essentially, is what she said. And that's just, it's just a fantastic thing. I think we are emotional beings at the end of the day. Getting in touch internally can be difficult. So a lot of us spend time on the external realms. I need a new car for this reason. But really, if you dig deep into the layers of why that person needs a new car when they already have a functioning car, maybe it's a lack of self-confidence. Maybe it's a status symbol. Maybe it's something like that. I feel I need this to attract something out there that I don't currently have. It's a wonderful thing. And then you teed it off by, you topped it off by saying, you know, I get to make people happy for a living. That's really what you do, which is just, there's no better place to be, right? Whatever it is that you do, if you can make people happy, I think there's few things more fulfilling than that. But let's actually talk about some of the services to a person that knows very, very little about facial rejuvenation. I imagine I'm not the only one.
Okay.
What am I coming there to have done? Like, am I working on acne? Is it Botox? Is it, what am I doing exactly?
So sometimes a whole array of services. I always start, you know, kind of from that foundation. So if someone doesn't have or isn't happy with their skin, so we see a lot of people who might have acne scarring.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that could make them very self-conscious. So if, for instance, we might start someone on a medical grade skincare to help with their scarring, help prepare their skin for radio frequency microneedling. What is that? So that is a procedure where it involves, yes, we heard needles, and it helps stimulate collagen and helps minimize the appearance of scars, which can be really lovely. We also have some people come in and they, particularly when it's women, don't like the lines right here.
Sure.
So we call those the 11s, the stress lines, the angry lines, the kind of give away your feeling lines. And I'm not a line chaser, but I know when you soften that area of the face, it makes people so much more approachable. No one likes to approach someone who's scowling. And that would be our wrinkle relaxer or neuromodulator, which otherwise known, there's Botox, there's Dysport, there's Xeomin, there's Nuceiva. So now we have lots of different products on the market and that are Health Canada approved that we could use to treat this area of the face. So typically the upper face. So I think a lot of women don't want to look that tired look, which involves as we get older, our kind of eyebrows fall into our eyelids. And we get the etched lines. So the deep lines around the eyes. Now, sometimes they're smile lines. So they're cute lines. But I think when people look at their face, you know, and part of what I do is help them stand back because we get so close to the mirror. I think people will come to me and show me something they don't like that honestly, I wouldn't have picked it out if they had asked me.
Yeah.
Like that is not perhaps what's making you look older, if that's the concern, or sometimes there's, I think, a disconnect. So for instance, some people will have, especially on the driver's side, so the left side in North America will have much more significant wrinkles than the right side of our face.
Huh.
And more sun damage. So those dark spots that you get that maybe when you were younger were freckles and you spent too much time in the sun and now your face is covered in them. And that makes your skin quality look less fresh, shall we say.
Sure.
So I can use some laser treatments to help lighten up the sun damage. It doesn't remove it. It only takes it off the surface, but it will definitely improve the appearance. We talk about dermal fillers. That's another product that I probably provide a lot of. And that's when you see people who have lost volume in their face. So their cheeks are sunken or hollow, or their lips are sort of deflated, and you could return them back to the appearance 10 or 15 years ago on their face and in a quite natural way. So that's the other thing. Doesn't have to be obvious if you don't want it to be.
Yep.
For men in particular, I see a lot of men who want to improve their jawline, for instance. And so we use dermal fillers, which are injectable implants, and sort of recreate a jawline that is proportionate to their face, but gives them a more slender, sleek, masculine appearance.
Okay. Didn't even know that existed.
Right. See, all the things in the arsenal. So once again, and there are newer products coming out all the time. So right now there's a lot of biostimulators on the market, which
Okay.
is an amazing and very natural treatments, where I might even use your own blood and all the gifts it has to offer, to reintroduce that back into your tissue to help stimulate healing and new collagen formation.
I was going to ask that. Is this all for aesthetics, like external appearances, or is it to help with skin overall health as well?
You know, I feel like there's a little bit of a misnomer. So, in the sense that we identify skin health with skin beauty.
Yeah,
And
so
there,
that's not what I was referring to when I said skin health.
right.
Yeah.
So, sometimes the skin is unhealthy because the normal barrier doesn't exist anymore. So people have their tissue is dehydrated or over processed, or so yes. So a lot of these treatments will improve skin health,
Actual skin health, not just beauty.
not just beauty.
Okay.
So
Good to
we
hear.
all, as we age, our skin thins naturally. So you see someone in their 70s or 80s. So a lot of these sort of newer, well, they're not new technologies, but new to our arsenal, are actually helping improve the quality of skin over a lifetime.
Mm.
So, and right. And there's lots of very interesting technology coming out where we're using kind of DNA messengers to help. So external exosomes that we're putting in the tissue to once again decrease the DNA damage, which is what's causing the aging of the skin.
I've looked into stem cells a fair bit
Mhm.
for healing properties. Being in the fitness world, I've been in there for a long time, owned a couple gyms before we started running our marketing company and doing what we do now for the last, almost 10 years. And stem cells comes up often, especially I worked with bodybuilders. A lot of them took steroids. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
damage, even just the strength of the musculature and the bones unnaturally like that can tear things. So a lot of them used stem cells, not here in North America. They would typically go over to like Portugal and places like that to have these types of repairs, sometimes to even vertebrae, to your spine, to a number of these different areas. It seems like there's a lot of good research to show the healing process of stem cells. I'm wondering if that's come up in your world as well.
Absolutely. And have you yourself used stem
No,
cells?
no. I mean,
No.
from what I've looked at it, it's just like a God's ransom, and you have to fly halfway across the world. So luckily, I don't need it. The two legs that I busted are pretty good at 38, but maybe one day, if they become more accessible, right now it seems very difficult to do that.
I think right now in my industry, there's lots of talk about it. There's lots of buzz, but there is no, if I'm aware of, Health Canada approve stem cell for kind of cosmetic rejuvenation.
Oh, cosmetic. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So I feel I've heard of people having stem cells once again in the spinal tissue, in the bones, but not yet for the kind of rejuvenation that I do.
Okay.
Although there are things that come into the market that aren't approved, and sometimes they kind of fly under the radar, like vitamins, I guess. But I think this technology and the longevity technology is going to have a huge impact on my particular industry over the next 10, 15 years for sure.
Oh, I could only imagine. I mean, where things are going, like sometimes I just let my mind run wild with AI and its ability to
Right.
adapt and regenerate and learn, and what happens in 10 years. Like we've seen how much our brain can develop in 10 years. Now imagine a brain, 1,000 times what ours can
With
produce. So,
almost limitless capacity,
yeah.
right?
So what can that create for skincare, for cars, for, buildings, for infrastructure, for everything? I don't know. By the time I'm 80, it may be a very different story. But this
Right.
question popped up into my head. So I imagine it's going to pop up in other people's head. I hope I don't put you on the spot with this. It's a very positive thing. I hope you take it. But you have a very pleasant, visually pleasant face to look at.
Oh,
Now,
thanks. Yeah.
now, from knowing you only a little bit, but I am getting, you just seem like a jovial human being. So
Mhm.
is that your energy coming on your outward exposure, on your outward appearance, or is that Is that a
So, right. Do
combination of?
here's the honest truth, Jeff. I do
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
So pretty much every one of my services that I will do to someone else, I have at least tried on myself
Yeah.
for
Awesome.
sure.
I love it.
And I love it. And it's all kind of about maintenance. That people say, well, what's your regimen? And I can go through my skincare that I use twice a day, every day. I can go through my every 4-month neuromodulator treatments, which typically I use Botox on myself. I have done filler. I've done microneedling. I have done PRP, but I do it all because I love it and I
Yeah.
believe in it. And I would never want to do something to someone else that I wouldn't be willing to do to myself.
I was really hoping you said that. And at the end of the day, though, I feel like you possess this part of you as well. I mean, you've been smiling this whole time. There's no cosmetic procedure that can force you to smile.
Right.
So I think if you really don't like your life, I think it's still going to come out on your face. You come out on your, body language in some way. So I think you probably have that in spades. And then I'm glad to hear that you use what you offer. I think that's really important.
And I agree with you. So nothing shows kind of confidence or warmth more than a smile.
Sure. There's
Right.
No
And we all know it takes a lot less muscles to smile than it does to frown. So
does it? I didn't actually know that.
And frown, we kind of work with our expression. But if you smile, so think about this. So a lot of the procedures that I do, if I showed you some before and after pictures, make the appearance of the face smiling a little bit. So when you smile, I'll tell this to people, you actually have more wrinkles when you smile.
Oh yeah. That's where mine come from. A lot of cases all around
Right?
here.
But you look better.
I agree.
So I try to not focus on the lines or the wrinkles as much as I focus on making a face look happier, I think. And then by effect, you look more welcoming, more youthful, more energetic. So all those things apply when you make someone look happier. And you've heard fake it till you make it sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm in a bad mood, doesn't happen that often, but I will, if I'm trying to walk it off, I will say hello to everyone in my path.
Yeah.
In all different languages, just to see the reaction, because I thought when you're walking down the street, I go, hi there, good morning. And people don't even know what to do.
Which is just, it's too bad that we're at that. I am like that as well. Almost like obnoxiously so. I just love interacting with people because it makes me happy. It's just so easy.
Right. And I feel like, so that's part of it. So yes, I do. I think I came out of the womb smiling, a bit happy. I have the big teeth to show for it. I can't, my mouth probably doesn't close completely because of that. But that's kind of the way I wake up in the morning, I think.
I love it. Well, that's certainly the interpretation that I'm getting. I assumed you were a practitioner of what you preach, but I'm thinking from the way I'm seeing, I'm like, no, this is not just procedure. She is just a happy individual. But what I'm really curious about is what brings somebody to go down a journey like this. First, I think this is a 2-part question. Running a business is hard as heck. We know that. Entrepreneurship, I have immense respect for the warriors in the arena, if you will, that are willing to put themselves out there and say, I got something that can help, especially at the beginning. It's not perfect. I'm going to make a million mistakes, but I'm dedicated to helping you. And long hours, sometimes paycheck to paycheck, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a very hard decision to make for a lot of us. But so what led you to being like, the face is going to be my tapestry, my canvas, so much so that I'm going to open a business and go all in on this? Because that's what you declared to the world, essentially, when you opened up your business.
You know what? I feel like it was like the perfect marriage of the things that I'm good at.
Oh, perfect.
So I became a physician, grew up in Montreal, went to McGill Medical School. I probably would have been a plastic surgeon had I knew what I knew, but I didn't want to be in school till I was 40.
Yeah.
Practical. I've been with my husband since I'm 18 years old. We wanted a family and a life, and those things were important too. And I decided to do family practice. And I loved it. It suited my personality. I got to just really help people.
Like as
And
a GP, when you say family practice? GP?
yes,
Okay, so you're
so
full-blown medical doctor. Okay.
full-blown medical doctor. And then I started working a day a week with a plastic surgeon right when I started, because I didn't have a full practice, and I was working in the operating room. So I was assisting. So I was kind of that first assistant one day a week. For about 8 years, I worked in the operating room with plastic surgeons. So kind of honed my skills at suturing, being comfortable. So that's doing stitches, right?
Yep.
Being comfortable kind of with needles and kind of scalpels and all of that.
Blood.
And then I guess a few years in, my mother-in-law had gone to her dermatologist, and she said, "Oh my God, I went, he offered me this treatment, and look," and she sent me a picture. She's like, "You'd be so good at this." And so I started doing that with the plastic surgeon I was working with. And when I was younger, I kind of wanted to be an artist, right?
Wow, that took a turn I wasn't expecting.
I could paint, I could draw. I don't know how good I was. I mean, I was told I was really good, but as a kid, but I also knew that I kind of wanted more. That I loved art, but I don't know if I could have made a career out of it.
Yeah.
So when this opportunity came, I feel a lot of my patients will say, I feel like a canvas when I'm working with them. Like
You're the canvas or your clients are the canvas?
the clients, the
Yeah.
patients. So
Yeah.
I know what we want to try to do, and I might do a little bit, and I stand back and I give a look, and we hold the mirror and I go, "What do you think?" And like, so we work together, but they kind of will mention that they feel like a canvas. So this opportunity came up to start doing kind of cosmetic treatments. And funny, at the time, I guess my kids were about 2 and 4, and I had a full-time family practice. And I would say I had to be on medication for a little illness that I had. So I was on prednisone for about a year, and I think it just made me a little like I could conquer the world.
Wow. You think the
Right?
hormone made you feel a little
Yeah, a little manic might be the word. But
okay.
I think I have. So my husband calls me the Energizer Bunny, and only because I'm up before everyone, I'm in bed after everyone. I've, golfed 18 holes, gone to the gym, cooked dinner, saw 40 patients, and I'm still not done for the day. So like I've sort of always been that kind of person with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could do this. So I called my cousin who was a graphic artist, and I'm like, "Can you make me a business card? Because I'm going to start doing this." And I rented office space, even though I had a family practice from a surgeon close to the hospital. And between cases in the operating room, I went and handed out business cards to all the desk clerks saying, "This is what I'm doing. Come see me. Discounts for hospital employees," like whatever at the time. I hired a nurse to work with me 2 days a week, and that's sort of how it started.
I love that story.
Right.
But
So
what made like, man, I mean, I don't know a whole lot of doctors, not like I know 100 of them, but I know several of them, especially being again in the sports field. Met many of them very good. I never really hear of any of them leaving it for something else. It's a pretty good gig, family practice. I imagine it's good pay. You're helping out a lot and you work so hard to get there. It seems like that was quite a pivot to open up this
well,
clinic,
I did the both simultaneously for like,
which is wild to me.
right.
Clearly
So
you work a lot.
I did. I had my family practice alongside the cosmetic practice, which started to grow and started to grow. And I remember after just about 10 years in, I said, "Okay, it's Saturday, 2 in the morning. I'm at the cottage and I'm looking at lab reports." And
You did
I
10
don't,
years of the both of them?
yes,
And you had a husband and kids?
yes.
So before you continue on, I really want you to continue your story, but I want people to hear that, because at the end of the day, it's all business and human connection on this show, right? People,
Right.
it's only entrepreneurs. And because we focus on the small and medium business world, I think a lot of people don't quite understand how much it takes to be great at something, to build something great. We all want the autonomy. We want all that great income. We want the agency over our own life, but there is a bill that has to be paid. And it almost always requires an immense amount of hard work for a long period of time. So it's like,
Right.
you can have whatever you want in life if you're willing to sacrifice and pay the bill. But if you're not willing to pay that price. So 10 years, husband, kids, what did a week look like for you before you continue on that story? Like, were you working 80 hours a week? Did you sit on the couch ever?
I mean, I was probably sort of clinical hours with patients, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Early mornings to, get the kids ready, get them off to school. I have a very supportive husband who was great. And we paid people, to pick up the kids, because otherwise
Smart.
Children's Aid would call when I hadn't picked them up at 7 p.m. in the aftercare program. So we had really amazing kind of nannies and support people in our lives that we had to have for that. And all the other stuff, especially the business stuff, was done after hours. So when you're patient facing, so when you work in your business, it is actually very hard to work on your business.
Definitely.
So around that same time where I cut back on my family practice, I said, oh my God, I am too busy. I can't be looking at reports on Saturday at 2 a.m. Like, I need to be sleeping or having fun or not doing this. So I gave up half my family practice. I found another family physician who was coming to town who wanted to start a practice. And I just sort of assigned half my patients to that individual to say, okay, so maybe if I cut back, I could do both of this. I could do, because my cosmetic practice was growing. So simultaneously, I thought, okay, I could cut back and maybe I could still maintain the two, because I did enjoy doing both. And yeah, so yeah, my weeks were crazy. My weeks were really crazy. And then I joined a group called Strategic Coach.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of Strategic Coach, but Dan Sullivan, the founder of Strategic Coach, he runs. It's not him. He has coaching groups run by, leaders, well-trained leaders and support people, where you meet one day a quarter with other entrepreneurs. So you are trapped for the day with all entrepreneurs, all different types of businesses, and you work through, they have lots of kind of marketed, branded tools that you use to help improve your life. So work smarter, not harder, to, hire, delegate up, I guess, would be a really great one that I learned.
And sorry, before you go on, because I
Yes.
don't know that many people have actually heard that statement before. Everybody's heard delegating before, but when you
Right.
say delegate up, what does
Right.
that mean to you?
Well, I feel like often we say we're going to delegate things that we don't like, that are beneath us. Right. So I am not a computer savvy person. I try my hardest, but I feel I personally carry a computer virus. Like, I have SADMAC'd. Like, I am not the person you want near your computer if you have anything important to do. 6 different ways I tested doing this podcast to make sure my computer wouldn't die or something bad happened to it.
Right.
So when I hire someone to manage computer systems or delegate to someone in my office, it's not because I'm delegating up to someone who is better qualified, better at that job. I wish I could be. So I feel like it's a mindset. And when you have that mindset, that even, someone, my receptionist who's answering the phones during COVID, I had to learn how to do that. I really got a great appreciation for what some of the other people in my office do and how hard they work when I'm answering online orders myself, trying to figure this out. Like, how the heck does someone do that? And no wonder it takes so long to get to all those emails.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that. So Strategic Coach really helped me create an amazing work-life balance.
Okay.
And to me, I think that's the secret for happiness as an entrepreneur. I
Is
work,
work-life balance.
yes. Like you said, the struggle is real. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to create the universe that you want, and then you have to streamline it in a way where you might have to accept a lower income or less of something or more of something, like compromise to have what you want and prioritize what's important to you. So
Has it been worth it?
it's been awesome. Like I said, I get to, people ask me sometimes about retirement. Like, what does that look? And I'm like, well, unless my hands aren't working, I don't think I'm ever going to necessarily retire. I might work a little less and do other things a little more. But I don't, and I think most entrepreneurs are like that, because when you own a business, it's like your baby.
Well,
Like
nobody asks you, like with your girlfriend, okay, now that you guys have been together for 20 years, are you going to retire sometime soon? It's like,
right?
no, you do the things you enjoy until you
And
don't
so,
enjoy them anymore.
and the same with you, right? Like you have your own business, and what does that look like with a life and all the other things you have to do? I feel that you probably spent a lot of time doing this.
Yeah, unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's just to what I was talking about a moment ago. We have, I don't know, maybe they're too audacious. I'm not quite sure. But ever since busting the legs, when I owned my gyms, it was great. I love serving people. But I was good with a client base of like 40 people. And we had a staff of 6 other people plus me, and was making a decent income relatively to my average, age. But I don't know. After busting the legs and being, flirting on that, line of like not being here and being here, after getting through that, I had such a greater appreciation for life. And I think also through that turmoil, learned how almost nearly unlimited a human being is, and thought, am I going to get, I really learned a lot about our mortality through that experience. I really started studying philosophy and started to understand that even at 28, tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I now know that from hospital visits, et cetera, that age has nothing to do with it.
Right.
My next day is being given to me by something beyond my own power. So something has control over me showing up to much larger degree than I do. And so when I get to my final conversation, if I'm lucky enough to have it, whether it's 70, 80, 90, am I going to regret not trying a bit harder to figure out what I'm capable of? Because I've been given this body, I've been given this mind, I've been given this opportunity. Am I really using it to its fullest? Am I really helping and impacting the world as much as I can? So coming through that and into this for the last 10 years, the goals are audacious. Not much of a life outside of fitness, few friends, and our business. But I do believe that within the next handful of years, maybe somewhere around 42, 43, 3-4 years from now, that the delegation will get to the point of hands off a little bit more and become more of a silent partner in this business. That's my strategy anyways. Whereas my hands are in every pot, no matter how big our staff is, I'm a part of everything, even to a small degree. And for as long as I do that, I don't think I'll be able to get married, have kids, those types of things. I don't know. Maybe you could teach me something. Maybe I need to go to strategic coaching.
I'm just going to say, I'll refer you there. It really, it changed my approach. Like I said, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
But once again, because I do work in my business, it is hard to find some of the time, the entrepreneur, the stuff, the payroll, the HR, the building maintenance, like all the hats that you have to wear when you operate a small business. So it's learning every day.
Oh yeah. And that's one of my favorite parts about entrepreneurship. It's like if learning and growing is what you want to do as a human, there are a few things that force you to grow more than being an entrepreneur. There are like few things I've come across. And what our mind is, this thing that's sitting between my ears, is just.
Well, and what's interesting to note is in medical school and residency, you get exactly one day, or I got exactly one day on how to run a practice.
Wow.
Right?
One
Devastating.
day.
And I'm going to say not all doctors are entrepreneurial. They just want to do the doctoring.
Yeah.
And don't want to have to worry about anything else. So it's kind of an interesting little scenario, because most doctors are pushed out into the world as business owners, independent business owners, and have no clue how to do anything.
Yeah. They're the talent. They're like the athlete.
Right.
And then they need an operator in the background. And that's where so much of the struggle happens within the small and medium business world, is we have incredible athletes, incredible talent out there, very few operators, because none of them went to school to do that. None of them had the experience to do that. And you don't have a marketing department, an HR department, accounts receivable, accounts billable, all of these departments. It's just you. Like,
right. That's
the beginning,
exactly. I feel like I need a different name if I'm answering the phone and I'm like deciding on marketing. Like, right. It's Susan today. And how can I help you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, this is something I'm so curious about. I have all of my rules for life inked on my arm to keep me. I think it's very easy to stray off your path. And I think if you want to stay on that very narrow path and want to get, really good at something and live a very, like you said, design your universe. Designing your universe is difficult, even if you're good at it. But if you're winging it, you don't have a target to aim at. It's like, good luck. You're on a canoe going down, the ocean's current. It's going to take you where it wants to. Life will. But a lot of them are to become the human being that I want to be a great father. I have a great relationship with my father. His words of wisdom are inked all over my back to keep him with me. And I look at being a parent as kind of the highest honor, privilege for a human being. I mean, you're literally creating life. So no matter how much I love my business, it's not creating life and giving a lifelong commitment through blood, essentially, through DNA, like anything else. So I wanted to become a certain type of person to get to that stage so that I could be a good dad. So I try to pick the brains of a lot of parents come on this show, and the parent entrepreneur combination. I can only imagine how demanding being a parent is, especially if you want to be a good one. I think anybody can be a parent. I think it's hard. It's not easy to be a mom or dad, and actually earn it type of thing. You don't need to do much to have a child is what I'm saying, but it takes a lot of effort to be a mom or a dad, and then to be a great entrepreneur. So how did you manage it? How do you do that?
Oh, my kids are amazing individuals, people. They've had their struggles. We've had their struggles. They're both now in university. So that to us is a big sort of accomplishment. Kudos. I think it's putting in the time. Your kids don't want things. I mean, they like things.
Sure.
But I remember, this is a great example. My family, my mother lives in Florida. So we are there a lot. So my kids have been to Disney a lot. We used to get passes for 10 visits, so they've been there. And I was taking my children to Chapel Farm here locally for the Halloween and to pick a pumpkin and hayride and a hot dog. And it's like $10 a person. And they spent 3 hours rolling down that little hill, up and rolling down and like 3 hours. And then we're going through the Boo Barn and all the things. And my son's, oh my God, Mom, this is better than Disney.
Chapel Farm.
Right. Awesome. And I mean, I love that. And I feel like part of it though, is because we're doing it together.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and kind of not being scared to get dirty with your kids.
Yeah.
So I feel despite working hard and being away lots, my kids know, and this is the policy I have in my office with my employees, family comes first. If something's going on in your world and you need not to be here because you need to be there, that always comes first. Nothing I do is urgent in the sense that it can't wait. So if someone has an appointment, we respect that, we apologize, but I feel like your children know when you're available to them like that. So, it sounds silly to say they know they're loved. And part of that is discipline. And that's the hardest thing. It's really hard when you kind of want to say, oh yeah, you should have seen what I did when I was your age. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe when they have kids, we can have those conversations.
Sure.
But right now I'm still that parent, and I love my kids have very open, honest communication with me even now. I don't always speak to them every day, but I always send them a little text. Happy Monday,
Yeah.
you know, Wicked Wednesday. Hope you're enjoying silly things like, and I'll send them pictures of, we have this big joke in our family. Sorry, that mom's head's so big it blocks out the sun. Because you can't really see from here, but I'm only about 5'1".
I'm
So,
getting that sense.
so I'm pretty small,
Yeah.
but mighty, and I do have an inordinately large head and a lot of hair. So I'll send them pictures with my head blocking the sun behind me, like just to cheer them up. So I think that's it. I think and being honest, we're not perfect. I think
Sure.
your kids probably at around puberty realize that oh my God, my parents are just
not
people,
superheroes. Yeah.
right? And sometimes they could be mean to you, and like just kind of holding off and taking, the way when kids, we put them in timeout when they're misbehaving. Sometimes as adults, especially when your kids hit teenager, timeouts are your friend.
Okay.
Right.
No, take it.
Timeouts and do-overs.
Okay.
Right. So that's kind of, and kind of winging it, honest, like I am in my work. I think I'm an authentic person, and my kids know that. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have great relationships till they're much older.
It's interesting, and not to get turn this into a parent advice podcast, but I remember finding out, because my dad and my mom too, she's great. I talk about him more on her than her, which I hope she doesn't watch all these because she'll get super jealous, but I love her to death. But he was that Superman to me. And then puberty came, teenagehood came, and I noticed some flaws, and it was like, oh my God, this literal Superman has imperfections. What the heck? And so my whole world changed for a while. But then I started moving through my 20s and realizing how hard it was to be an adult. And then the more things that I challenged myself to do, especially when I really started trying to do life well, if you do life well, you're going to have some major challenges. That superhero came back, because even with his flaws, to see what he's produced of himself and the effort he's put into other people's, knowing how hard it is, it's kind of like it was up, came down as a teenager, and now it's just skyrocketing. To know being a human is hard. Running a business, caring for kids, showing up to practices at 4 a.m. So it's one of the reasons why I have so much respect for being a parent, because I have respect, and I think I've developed an eye over the years for people who do very difficult things for really strong reasons. And I haven't been able to find something harder and for a more right reason than being a parent. So it's pretty cool that you've found a way to make it work and still seem to be so damn happy.
I have my moments, but
Sure.
Kids are they're challenging.
Oh,
They are
sure.
super challenging, but so worth it.
Okay.
They change you.
I bet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's do a little speed round here.
Okay.
5 things that really put a smile on your face.
Oh,
You
okay.
do for fun, whatever. It could be anything. Could be
Okay.
macaroni and cheese. Could be traveling.
No. Okay, golf.
Yes. Okay.
You see, but that's my hole in one. Oh,
I was going to say, I saw you moving it slightly, and I'm like, is she intentionally putting that plaque in there? What is
totally
that?
Intentionally. I finally have a sport. Like I found a sport in my 30s, right? Like I am not the best golfer, but I am the most positive golfer, actually.
Awesome.
So I feel like you'll have your best game if you ever golf with me. So
Okay.
Certainly golf is one of those things. I really like running also.
Okay.
I found running another thing sort of later in life. So that's like kind of fitness, but running, just the way you feel when you're kind of 5K into a run and just everything else evaporates. That's so awesome. I love my cold pillow.
Tell me about it, please.
Oh my
Sleeping is,
goodness.
I'm a fitness guy, so it's movement, nutrition, and sleep. I think is the
Right.
foundation for life. And sleep, still trying to crack that code.
I
Tell me
think
about the cold pillow.
sleeping is actually my superpower. Okay. So people, I will fall if I'm usually sitting at my desk, I could just put my head down and go to sleep. Like I could nap on the floor, planes, trains, and automobiles, any moving vehicle. In fact, I'm asleep in 5 seconds. Like people laugh at me because my kids are like, "Oh yeah, mom, she's out," like in the car, totally. But in my personal sleep, I have 2 or 3 or 4 pillows, and because I like to rotate them to the cold side.
Now, is
So
it a
that
cold pillow or is
that
it just like there are actually cold pillows out there? Is this specifically a cold pillow? Or
nope,
you
it's
flipping
not.
it?
It's not cooled pillow, but like that fresh sheet.
Yeah.
And so as part of the sleep ritual, my bed has to be made military style. The
Mm.
sheets are stretched, pulled. You could bounce a quarter if I. That's really important to me.
Okay.
So, right, like so, and that makes me smile silly. And I think part of the sleep thing, falling asleep in the sun like a cat.
Ah,
Have you
interesting.
ever, like there's the sun on the couch, and it's the same thing for my sister. And we shared a room when we were kids, and the room got afternoon sun, and it was all painted yellow. And so we still kind of feel very warm. There's a warm place for us when that
Sure.
happens.
Sure. I
Yeah.
like it. So we got golf, we got running, we got a
Mhm.
cold pillow. We need 2 more.
Things that make me happy.
Yeah. Do you have a safe place? Do you have a movie that you love? Something?
I feel like I kind of, okay, so this is kind of a weird one,
Okay, I like it.
but I love when like my hair, like I have a lot of hair, and so the scalp is hard to find. So if anyone wants to like sort of play with my hair
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
with
are.
permission,
Hey,
right?
people, don't
With
just go up to Dr. Stacie and start
don't just
playing with
come
her
up to
hair.
me and touch my hair, but I actually that makes me so happy. And then sometimes it's like the simple things. Like I remember with my son, we're like running in a field and all the frogs start jumping out like
Okay.
from your feet. And we
Yeah.
were like laughing. So maybe it's the laughter, like little kid laughter.
Yeah.
That's actually beautiful. That makes me smile when I think of my kids when they were just giggling, and who the heck knows what the stupid thing that they were giggling about, or it
Yeah.
was always so silly and like rolling belly laughter, right? And especially from kids, because there's that innocence that the world is safe and perfect and beautiful. And yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
that,
What it represents is phenomenal. You get this beautiful chemical dump in your brain of happiness,
right.
your
That was,
authentic joy from this untainted human being. How
yeah.
many times have I sent or received just a gif of this chubby little baby just endlessly giggling? And it's like, I could be going through hell right now and I've changed on a dime. Clearly, my brain is approving of this message. No, it's very cool.
You like that when you watch, like, I know my kids tell me on social media, it's all about the cats and the babies,
Yeah, sure.
like if they want to laugh or something.
Yeah, no, it's just a great experience. I don't know if you are a Disney or DreamWorks watcher. Like DreamWorks is How to Train a Dragon.
Seen them all.
Yeah. So one just came out. It's called Wild Robot. I think I
Okay.
cried like 5 times through that movie last night. It's a beautiful experience. Just wanted to plant that seed since you do seem to like these innocent, very joyful experiences.
Okay. Wild Robot. I'll check it out.
It was fantastic. Let's talk about hard things
Yes.
because I have gone way too long on the beginning portion of this podcast, but it's just been very enjoyable.
You could just edit it how you will, I see, but right.
We like it, all of it. We're going to keep it all in. But
Okay.
one of those rules that I talked about, number 4, is do hard things. And I could probably talk to you about that for a very long time, but nice. We're keeping that in.
Oh, sorry.
That was a good one. Just because of the laugh afterwards, there's no way we're editing that. That was perfect.
Because sneezes actually feel really good.
Oh yeah. Don't keep those in.
Right?
say
Like, I
don't keep
feel bad when
anything.
people do those little, like, uptight, like, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's gonna have to come out somewhere." Like, just saying.
Not to get too rude here, but it's funny you say that about keeping things in. I was just sent a little a gift this morning about not keeping your farts in, because when you keep them in too long, that's where shit ideas come from.
See, I love that. So sorry, but I interrupted with my sneeze, and you talked
Yeah.
about hard things. So
Yes.
what are those hard things?
So, well, this is more about your hard things, but why do we talk about hard things on the show? Simply because, like we were talking about with the broken legs, I think if you choose to move through hard things, or you choose to adapt to hard things that have been placed upon you, like COVID, illness, death, you can have the most transformative phases of your life. I think when everything is going well, your brain says, just keep going type of thing. I think it's when you choose to go outside of your comfort zone that you're now granted the gift of opportunity. And it can be a huge springboard to transformative growth.
Right.
So being an entrepreneur is hard, being a parent is hard, being a human is hard. But I think the people that decide to intentionally move into uncomfortable situations grow more than anybody else. Certainly the research that I've done, certainly that's been my experience. You deciding to go out there and run, it burns your lungs, the whole thing for a short period of time. You're paying up front with pain for a long tail end of reward. Right. Whereas the pleasure, I believe, is the flip side of the coin. We are granted pleasure immediately, and then we pay with discomfort for long periods of time. So we want to be a part of spreading that message to lean into uncomfortable things. And we like to do that by not just talking about it, by bringing guests on the show and sharing their personal experiences. So the question really comes down to any trials, tribulations, hardships that you've been through that probably sucked in the moment, because discomfort and hard has a symptom. It doesn't feel very good often. Otherwise, we'd all do it. But when you can look back in hindsight with that, that 2020 vision now, you wouldn't remove that ingredient from the recipe that has become you, because it's led you to living the life you live today.
I thought about this. So there was, I guess, my father passed away when I was 14 years old. Okay, so one of those things that very sad, horrible for anyone to have to experience. After that, my home life was not very good. So I made a choice to leave home at 18 years old.
Wow.
And I became self-supportive. I put myself through school, through medical school.
Holy smokes.
Worked really, really hard. So, in retrospect, 2 jobs, 2 kids, 2 houses, a husband, that was easy. So I think, and not everyone necessarily, it was a situation for me, and I got some really good advice at the time. And 18 now is maybe different than 18 was, I'll say
5 to 10 years ago.
30, yeah, right. 35 years ago when I made that choice, but it was probably the best decision for my own mental health that I could have made in my life. And it was hard because I had 2 and 3 jobs while I was going to school. And I just managed. Like, I didn't even really think that there was like a difference. I guess because you had to, you do. And I see so many times in my life where I could have made maybe not as good choices. And I was fortunate that I made good choices. It was a gift, or I had advisors or help. I did mention that I've been with my husband since I'm 18 years old. So I met him probably 6 months after I chose to kind of leave my very toxic home environment at the time. And you talk about mentors. His mother was a great mentor to me. So she really kind of helped me navigate that. So maybe without her, I don't know if I could have. So, give her a little credit for that.
Yeah.
But I just feel it was in me. Hard work never scared me. And there's sort of no job that I couldn't do if I had to. So I learned that, which was, I guess, something great to keep with you for life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of people don't, you meet people and you make assumptions about what their history is. And so knowing my own journey, I feel it makes me more open to try not to make assumptions about people and where they've been just based on what I'm presented with in the now.
Yeah, I mean, we're presented with, like, I like the metaphor of a book. You're often presented with a paragraph or a couple of pages in a 10,000 page book. And when I keep that metaphor in my head, it's like, okay, even if I don't like these pages at all right now, there's some depth here that I'm not getting. So maybe be a little bit more open to this, Jeff. First off, thank you for sharing that experience with us. I have both my parents still. I'm very grateful for that. So I could only imagine how painful that would be. But as soon as I hear about that, I'm like, I wonder what life lessons and skills she developed that were transferable for the rest of her life, that completely molded her as an individual from that extremely painful experience that I wouldn't want anybody to go through. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. But what if that had not happened? Would you be who you are today? It's a very interesting thought. And the best stories that I hear from people, the best people in my life, have had unbelievably challenging times in their life. That is all true for all of them.
And I think, you've had your challenges. I think anyone you speak to, their story, no one's had it easy. And even if you think they've had it easy, because they make it look easy now.
Sure.
So you make that right. So no one's had it easy. And I think, kind of looking at everyone having their story, and that makes them what they are and how they react. So bad things happen to all of us, and we can't control that, but we can control how we react to it.
Yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much all we can control, right? Our
Right.
actions, our reactions.
And like you said, you learned a lot from your journey and your experiences, and now you're helping other people with that. And that was kind of the gift, right? The way you kind of turned it around and said, now I'm going to give back, because what a difference that there was probably someone made in your world to help you through that.
Oh yeah. The guides that were along my Lord of the Rings journey, if you will, were exceptional human beings. I had my Samwises out there. There are many of them, and they know who they are. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being a part of the species that wants to belong with one another. It's such an interesting thing. When we think about the things that really make us happy, often it's not so intuitive. It can be counterintuitive. You could logically think, if I want to make myself happy, then I'm going to go out there and get all the things that I want, get all the money that I want, look the way that I want. It's all about me, 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 me. But whoever created us made that statement not true. And it made that a more true statement is go out there and help other people get what they want. And that you will in turn be extremely fulfilled, which to me is more important than happiness. Happiness comes like an emotion, like sadness or, excited. Sometimes you can confuse the two, but contentment seems to be a baseline that you can live with for long periods of time. Especially when you live a life in that way. If you're out there helping a lot of people, even if you have a bad day, you still have that baseline of that fulfillment that you can lean on for that moment of you need a little extra support, but you've done a lot of good, and that can make you go to sleep well at night. I remember one of my mentors saying, the true judge of an effective day is how well you sleep at night. So it's just interesting how this all works. We're all kind of interconnected and helping each other, but this has gone way outside of business, but I do love these types of conversations like this.
Me too. I feel like you get to know each other a bit, Jeff.
Well, and that's the point.
Right.
That is the point. And even we just want to use a bland word like marketing, I like storytelling. That's how I've been trained to do it. That's how it's been effective for me. I think that's how humans communicate with one another, is really through story. And your business is a breathing entity. Treat it like a relationship with another human being. Tell its story type of thing. Last couple of questions for you, Dr. Stacie. You have been a pleasure to speak to. When you said doing things easy, you make it seem like doing life easy is your thing at this stage. It's very cool. If you were on stage, paint this picture, you got 500,000, 1,500, whatever, people just, you could drop a pin and hear it. They're all laser focused on you, specifically about your cosmetic and facial rejuvenation clinic. You have 90 seconds, 2 minutes. What do you tell those people? What do you want them to know, the core essence of your business or something about the services or taking care of their face? What do you say to them if you're on that stage?
Okay, that I'm not anti-aging, I'm pro-aging.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay. Aging is a gift.
It
I get
really
to tell
freaking
people
is.
I'm 52 years old. I love that. I can't wait to be 62 and 72 and 82 and still look like the best version of me. So I think that's what I tell people, that there is no, when I look at someone, everyone's like, oh God, what, you're staring at my flaws. And I go, actually, I'm looking at what makes you beautiful. So for me, we all have something, whether you know it or not, that people will look at and say, wow, you know, just the curve of your eyebrow, the glint in your eye. Like there's just something that makes everyone beautiful. And if I could, I'm going to say recreate that for people, that's what I try to do. I use all my tools to sort of recreate so that when you look at yourself, the thing that saddens me the most is when people come to me and say, I hate being in pictures. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. And I feel like I don't love the word hate from the get-go.
Me too.
But I can't imagine that as a feeling. Like I don't want anyone to ever feel that way about themselves. So I want to make people confident and love what they look like. And we have lots of different tools to do that. And so it might just be skincare. It might just be a little bit of Botox. It might be some laser treatments. But all of that can be customized so that you feel good about yourself. So I feel I want to focus on that. I also want to focus on the importance of safety. I am a physician, and there are a lot of amazing healthcare practitioners who do what I do, who are very qualified and who understand the risks. And I feel because what I do has become so mainstream, people think that it's safe in any situation, any environment, by any provider. And I think that is not the case. So please, I'd say buyer beware, do your homework. You want to be with someone who you trust, not only to give you the result or the treatment you're looking for and paying for, but also if there is any sort of complication or problem, that they know how to manage that and they'll be there for you and to help you through that if that should happen. So I feel that we stress safety. My team knows we always put safety first. When in doubt, we always say no. And we might lose business because of it, and that is fine. I'm willing to accept that. So in my clinic, everyone is treated as an individual with prioritizing safety and the medical environment and respect for them allowing me and the trust that they allow in me. Because sometimes what I do, I wouldn't want to say it, but people might be frightened.
Sure.
Right? Some of the things I do, and it involves needles and all those things that people don't want to talk about. So I know when you're in my clinic, you have put that trust in me, and I have the utmost respect for that. So I feel people feel that, and that's important. So
boom, mic drop.
Right?
Making people happy and keeping them safe. I love it. You use these external services, products, and skills to really just help make a more content and or comfortable and happy human. It's a very cool thing.
Can I just say one thing, which was really
Please.
funny? I had I'm going to say a friend who got a gift certificate for his partner to come see me. And I did what I did. And I ran into him at a party, and he's like, Stacie, I have no bloody clue what you did to my wife, but she's so happy, and thank you.
There's nothing better, right?
I loved it, right? Like that to me sums it up. And so the fact that he didn't know what we did is great, because then obviously he didn't see that there was a change in her, except that she was happy. So I was like, job well done. That was very good for me.
Well, for anybody out there interested in cosmetic and facial rejuvenation that wants safety and be treated with respect and kindness, maybe give Dr. Stacie Weber a shout. For them to do that, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
We don't do kind of online bookings because everyone needs a consultation. So to call our office, which it's the number 705-828-3223, or through our website, you could submit a query. So we'll do by email, and it's drweber.ca, which is just drweber.ca.
That's the email. What's the website?
It's drweber.ca.
Oh, that is. Okay.
Yes. And then it will link you to an email request, which is info@drweber.ca. And so the request will be answered by our admin people. And so some people prefer to do through email, and other people will just give a phone call. All our consultations are complimentary. So we walk you through the whole process of what we might want to do or what treatments we think are best for you. We usually also have you seen by our nurse for safety protocol and by our medical esthetician for sort of more skincare approach. And but there is no charge for any of that initial visit anyway. And then we make a plan of action together.
Beautiful. Where are you guys located?
We are at 97 Collier Street. So just right downtown Barrie. We kind of are the little house with the green door. So green is my favorite color. And so that is my logo and the color of my door. And our staff are very warm and friendly, and all, I'm going to say, look very natural. So that's the other thing. People always worry about looking frozen or fake or weird. I'd like to say that that is a choice that people make.
Yeah.
Not necessarily my choice, but everyone in my office has the same, the same vibe, the same goal.
Beautiful. I love it. You have been a treat today.
Oh, so nice to meet you,
sense. 450 podcasts, and each one being an hour apiece, and then just talking to people in hour consultations or more for the last 10 years. You have a lot of conversations. The addiction clinic, same thing. So I think I've gotten a decent eye, at least what I enjoy. Can't say it's what everybody else enjoys. And it really is honest banter, back and forth, witty conversation, inquisitive questions, like let's learn about each other type of thing. And you very easily allowed me to take you on that journey today, which was a pleasure. And it's just been great talking to you.
Great talking to you, Jeff. And can I make one more comment?
Absolutely, please.
So it is my 20th year anniversary coming up of being in my business. And I will be hosting a golf tournament next September, actually, raise money for some charity.
Yeah.
And so I will keep you informed as to that.
Please do.
Because I'm super excited.
We would like to be there.
Yeah.
We like sponsoring things, especially charities. We work with tons of them. We got a charity event coming up at the end of this month, the Season Center for Grieving Children. It's very important to us. Cornerstone of Recovery, the place I work at. Yeah, so we'd love to hear that. And happy 20th anniversary. You are part of a very, very rare group of entrepreneurs to make it that long.
Right? Thanks. So nice to meet you. And thanks for doing what you do. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stacie. Until we talk again, you have a great afternoon.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.